Hi, everybody. Welcome to Our Sinclair. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today, Aaron, we're going to be doing Back to School.
These are three words that fill me with pain and anguish. The thought of going back to school, I can't cope with.
Now, I know you've told me several times, but you might not have mentioned it on the show. Your birthday falls right around the time of back to school time. So your birthday is always sort of a melancholy experience.
It is.
Right?
I was literally born, I think, 1 or 2 days before the cutoff. So I was like I was the youngest guy in all my classes all through school. And yeah, it's also depressing to have your birthday right near when school started back.
Mm-hmm.
Horrible.
Of course, now school's been in session 2-3 weeks by the time your birthday gets here.
You're right.
It's a different
so it's
world.
not too bad now. Plus, I don't have to go to school. It makes it a lot easier.
That's true.
But man, I hated school. I really couldn't stand it. I think I started hating it in 4th grade, and then pretty much up to like say 11th grade, I couldn't stand it.
But your senior year, you were
Senior
on
year,
cloud nine.
I had a lot of fun then.
Yeah.
But everything in between. What you were a schoolboy. You liked that stuff, didn't you?
I liked school. My favorite years, I think, are 8th grade. That's when I joined the Star Trek Club. And probably 8th and 9th grade.
Yeah.
Yeah, 8th grade was when I used to LARP Trek.
You did not.
Yeah, well, I mean, it wasn't really LARPing.
That wasn't LARPing. What was that? Just dressing up like a Trek guy?
Well, we didn't dress up either. I might not know what LARPing is.
Live action role playing?
Well, like what we do.
What do you think it is?
Well, okay, I'll tell you what we did. I draw this picture of this ship, and then we go out to the bleachers behind the middle school. You know what I'm talking about. On playtime. And I'd be like, hey, Chad, check out this ship. This is my ship. And he's like, that's pretty cool. And then we'd be like, did you watch Trek last night? And he's like, yeah. And is that LARPing?
No.
Oh.
That's dorking. That's what that is. So you and Chad were your own collective out there?
Yeah. David Doss, too.
You mean you drew a ship?
Yeah.
And you were so proud of this ship.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, I've seen your art, and I can't imagine something spawning from your pen or ink that could possibly be something you'd want to be shown to others.
Well, I spent a lot of time, it was a shuttlecraft.
Oh, yeah?
I didn't aim high. I never wanted to be a captain.
Was it like the classic shuttlecraft or one of the new ones?
It was one of the ones from Next Generation. I don't know where that falls.
I see.
But
what was your median? Was it a ink pen or
no pencil all the way, because you're going to make some mistakes along the way.
I see.
Okay, and I didn't like mechanical pencils
How often
either.
did you do this?
Well, sometimes I would go to the library at the beginning of lunch.
Yeah.
And then I'd need like 10 or 15 minutes to get something down to free my ideas. Then I'd head out to the bleachers and show it off.
You know, I always thought that when I was in school, I was sort of a geeky type guy, you know. But man, after listening to that story, I feel like captain of the football team compared to that.
You probably were.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Did you ever get hassled or bullied when you were in school?
Well, I didn't. I tried to avoid most other people except for Chad, and so.
But that's impossible. You're going to be in direct contact with other kids all the time.
Yeah. I kept my head low.
Uh-huh.
You know.
So you got through pretty much scot-free.
Yeah. I was lucky. I was one of the lucky ones.
Yeah.
And then, of course, in 9th grade, I joined the marching band, and I met your brother.
That's when you know you're cool.
Crew. Yep. And that was.
So you graduated from dorkery to marching band.
Yeah, that's right. That was the pinnacle. It's like being the world's
chess
tallest
club
midget.
full?
You know? Yeah. Exactly. So anyway, those were the 2 best school years of my life. They didn't get much better.
Now, did you ever do anything? In this game, you can do all kinds of pranks. You can hit people with your slingshots, stuff like that. Did you ever do any of that kind of stuff? Did you ever try to get away with stuff?
I would have rather died than hit somebody with a slingshot.
You never tried to sneak out, skip class. Did you ever do any of that?
No. I never even entered my mind. Like, I remember, my parents would leave. I would be at home alone in the morning waiting to catch the bus. And I'd be like, I could just stay here and nobody would ever know. But I never did.
I would occasionally skip class because I lived so close to high school, I could just walk home.
Yeah.
And I remember, the year I got out, I graduated in 89, our buddy Hose was still in school. And so there was about 6-7 months of the school year where Hose would show up at the house every day. And what he was doing was just skipping high school the whole year. He just skipped the whole year. And I kept asking him, like, Hose, how in God's name are you not going to school? And he's like, I'm in the Marshall program, because he was going to college.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to still go to high school for some of the day, not Hose, but he wasn't doing that. And so finally, he had missed like they added it up, and he'd missed like 4 months of school.
Wow.
And he still graduated.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
That's the secret of American public schools. They just want you out. They just want you out.
Get you.
Yeah.
I think it's like that now more than ever.
Oh, yeah.
You out now.
Yep.
Me can't read, so it doesn't matter. It's okay.
Don't matter. Just push you out.
So then you're gone. I'm glad I'm out. I mean, graduating was one of the happiest days of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't like college either, to be fair. I think.
Well, you didn't really give it a fair shake.
No, I didn't. I think now, in hindsight, if I were to go back to school,
Rodney Dangerfield style,
the first thing I'd do is whack it with a slingshot and then put a mouse in there. But I think I would do better because I'm more mature than I was then. Have you ever thought about? I mean, you go to college every couple of days.
Well, yeah, I teach at a college.
How's it feel to be the big man? Like, it's neat that you have the perspective. So you were sort of a dork in school. Now you're the big dog.
Now I wear sweater vests and a tie.
That's right. So really, nothing changed
Nothing
there.
has changed.
But I mean, do kids, since you're a teacher, you give us a unique perspective here. What do kids try to get away with under your watch?
You know, it's funny. I feel like most of the time, the kids are just trying to figure out a way to look at their phone. That's the biggest thing. If they can get a glimpse of that phone, like if they can go back to their backpack and give it a little peek, and it's not that they're trying to get in trouble, it's that they're addicted to their device. You know, they can't bear to think that something might be going on out there that they're not on top of.
So what you're saying, stop me when I'm wrong here, because I think you're right. Kids are so zombified by their gimmicks. Mm-hmm. They're not creative or inspired enough to do anything particularly vile or entertaining.
True. Now, that does make me happy in a way.
Yeah.
Because much like modern parenting, you put the phone in the kid's lap and they're quiet and they're good. And so, in a way, right. I'm happy about that. But in a way, it would be kind of nice to see your classic prank, you know, your classic slingshot or whoopee cushion or something like that every once in a while.
The good thing is, if people like that, like I was watching my kid walk out. Walked out of a restaurant or something last night, and the kid's walking out to the car, and he's got his phone in his hand, and he's walking, and I watch, and he just walks to the wrong car. I'm just watching him, because I've told him 100 times, don't walk in a parking lot with your phone out, dumb guy. And so he gets ready to get in. I'm like, Luke, you're at someone else's car. He's like, oh, and he just doesn't move his eyes. Everything's like, you know.
It's
and I thought to myself,
you know?
people like this now, if you're not addicted to the device, you're their king. You can literally do whatever you want. They'll never know what's happening.
Yeah.
You know, I could burn his room down. If the phone was still there, it would be okay.
It would be all right. Aaron, I want to show everybody a little something that came in the mail today.
Okay.
Today is Christmas if you are a Our Sinclair Patreon supporter, because the magnets have arrived.
Ooh, magnets.
We have our Sinclair supporter magnets here, direct from Mr. Jonas Rulo over in Hawaii.
The master.
Yeah, with a Dizzy on there. And we've also got our Clive's Club magnets, large and in charge. So
this looks so good.
Yeah,
Love them.
I can't wait to send these things out. I want to get this done before the new year. These should be winging their way towards you all as a thank you. And of course, that means that there's going to be new magnets for 2020. So stay tuned to see what those look like too.
You want to go over one more time? How would one procure said magnets if one were? Because I'm looking at these and boy, they're neat looking. Now, Of course, I can just grab some while you're looking at your phone. But if someone out there wanted to get one of these, how would they obtain one?
If you go to patreon.com/Our Sinclair, you can support the show. And after a couple of months of support, you are guaranteed one of these magnets come Christmas time of 2020. So
anywhere on Earth.
Anywhere on Earth. These things ship internationally, free to your door.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. All right, Aaron, let's talk about back to school.
Back to school. Now, do you recall, Boat? Let's take a trip back. Do you recall when we covered the original in this series, which was called School Days?
I do.
And this was on ARG.
It was on ARG Presents number 2.
Was it number 2?
Yeah, it was very early on.
And we covered. So we have for once we actually had some knowledge of something going in, because actually I think we both gave this a quick try back in the day.
Yeah.
So we are actually not totally lost for once. So this game, Back to School, spelled uncool guy style, SKOOL.
Isn't that cool guy style?
No.
What's cool guy style?
That's dumb guy style. But Skool cool guy style is SKEWL.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is our gang style.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
So, anyways, this thing was released in '85, Boat, and was published by an outfit called Microsphere. They were responsible for, in fact, we actually looked at one of their games. They were responsible for the train game, which we heard a lot about when we were talking about Wheelie.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they also did Sky Ranger. They did the Omni Calc gimmick and Hotfoot.
I'd say Wheelie's probably their third biggest game after the Skool games.
Well, train games seem to get a lot of love. When we were researching, when I was researching Wheelie, a lot of people seem to like that. Maybe we'll come across it at some point. This was put out. Now, by the way, I looked up where these guys were located, and maybe you've heard of this place. But it's Rosebery Road, London.
No idea.
N10 2LA. I don't know what the rest of that stuff means. That's zip code or something.
Mm-hmm.
So if you know where Rosebery Road was, that's where these guys used to operate. This was authored by David S. Reidy. He did, of course, and these are the games, School Days. Then the other game that's sort of like this that we'll probably cover one of these days, Contact Sam Cruise.
Yep.
Which it looks neat.
Yeah.
Wheelie, of course, and Sky Ranger. And the other fellow that worked on this was Keith Warrington, who was involved in School Days and Contact Sam Cruise. So these guys pretty much did what they did. This is going to run you a ZX Spectrum 48K. It's a 48K game, Boat, which you can tell it's.
Well, that's your run-of-the-mill Spectrum.
It's a 48K game. It's not. There's no 128K action. Is my point.
Well, no, because it's from '85.
Right. I'm just saying. To me, I don't know. I don't know the years this stuff comes out.
Okay.
I'm just saying. There's no like. Here's why I say that. The opening song is the exact reason I say that.
You don't recall from your school days every morning when you got off the bus to hear that emanate from the school?
Let me tell you something. I would go to a special school if I heard that every day. A school to get that out of my head. A mental school of some sort. Of course, this is one player. It gives you the usual control options. This originally... So it's amazing these games that are iconic now, and this is another one. They sold so cheap. I mean, even if it was the 80s or whatever, it's still cheap. £6.95 for this bad boy.
Yeah, there's a reason nobody had Nintendos, because you could buy 800 Spectrum games for the price of one Nintendo game.
No kidding, dude. So, a trivia note I found on this, and you're a man with allegedly a musical ear for the tunes. The tunes this plays, okay?
Okay.
It says here, the musical soundtrack, and I just pulled this off of random websites. You can take this to grain of salt. The musical soundtrack consists of versions of the tunes Nobody Knows the Trouble I've Seen, and Here We Go Round the Mulberry Bush. The former plays the title screen, and the latter is the ending tune. So that means the song you hear at the beginning of this is supposed to be Nobody Knows the Trouble I've Seen.
At the beginning or end?
It says here the former plays at the title screen, the latter is the ending tune.
Boy, I know Nobody Knows the Troubles I've Seen, and that is...
I know both these songs.
Yeah,
so
yeah. That's,
there you go.
Well, I didn't make it to the end to hear Here We Go Round the Mulberry Bush.
So, in this game, you play Eric, the school kid, and you are at school. You're back to school, in fact.
Mm-hmm.
If you read the flavor text for this, basically it picks up effectively after the last game. When you got out of school, and you are you basically, here's the flavor text. I'll just read it. Having managed to steal your report during the last few school days of term, you spent the whole holiday forging teacher signatures and handwriting to make yourself look like the brightest, sweetest natured, most helpful little soul ever to carry a satchel. Now all you've got to do is get it back into the head's safe. So you're basically putting something in the safe this year. And so, did you look at the manual for this at all?
No.
It is written dumb guy style. If you read this...
Explain.
Well, here, I'll just let you look at the way... Look right here. At the
way yeah, I did see that.
It's written in, like, basically SKOOL style for the whole manual is like this. So of course, when I say manual, it's, the
it appeals cover. To the youth. It has attitude.
It is dumb guy style. So anyway, you're Eric in this game, and you're at school. Now, the school is different this year.
It's a different school.
It's bigger. Okay, bigger school. Plus, you've got a big playground area, and on the other side of the playground is the girls' school. At the girls' school. Remember that song? No, yeah, no one should remember that song. And ironically, your girlfriend Haley is at the other school. And there's a headmistress over there that's added to the game. What's her name? I think her name is Mrs. Task or something like that. And then you've also got like groundskeeper that trolls around and closes the gates in between playground sessions so you can't get out in the playground area. Now, if you've played School Days, this game is not that much different. A school day happens, and you can do several different things. You can either, like, here's what I like to do, right? Because I'm a dumb guy. I would attempt to go to his classes and not get in trouble. For at least that's usually how I started and so you can actually go to class if you want to.
Oh yeah, you can you can go through the day. That's the genius of this game.
Yeah. You could go and sit down. The way this works is every time Eric does something bad.
Okay, first of all, let's talk for people that are listening that might not know what this game looks like. This is a cutout of a school building. It's a side-on. It's not top-down. It's not isometric. This is purely a side-scrolling view of a school. And it's a 3-level school, and you go up and down stairs. And the rooms are actually laid out as like classrooms. You've got classrooms and offices and things like that. So you can move about the school any way that you want to. You can go anywhere. You can do anything depending on what teachers are around and stuff like that. But theoretically, this is an open world experience.
Yes, you actually, that's well said. It's actually very easy to follow what's happening because the school, it's almost like having one of those Barbie dream homes and open up, right? Also, on the display at the bottom, you will get a little thing that tells you where you need to be. Mm-hmm. And then you've also got a little thing that tells you how you're doing, your score and whatnot. When you get caught doing something you shouldn't in this game, you will get lines. All right, lines is where you write stuff on the board.
I believe you write it on a piece of paper.
On a piece of paper. I've done both. Have you ever had to do that in school?
I don't think I didn't go to school in the era where you actually wrote on the blackboard.
Really?
Although I assign lines to my kids in band almost all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
And they just write a piece of paper. Do you actually check them?
Oh yeah, they turn them in.
You mean you count how many lines is on there?
No, I do front and back. Fill it up.
What if you write double size?
Then you get it back and you get to do it again.
Now let me ask you a question about this. I'm glad you brought this up. I can't believe they still do that. It just seems like such a waste of time.
You're right, it is a waste of time because the kid did not bring their instrument to class.
Ooh.
Okay. How fun is band when you don't have an instrument? How much can you learn when you don't have an instrument?
How can you forget that?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
That is, well, okay, there you go. Now, we had to do the gimmick on, sometimes we'd write it up, but sometimes we use the chalkboard. And I know everyone knows this gimmick now, but they've got that thing for music class with the 5 chalks to make the musical thing. You remember The Simpsons? They did that thing. I did that same thing. We all did it whenever that thing was around. You would do the thing. You put the chalks in there and
that
cheat.
Fooled nobody.
It worked.
Yeah, it worked because your teacher didn't care.
It worked. No, listen, when you've got to fill up 2 chalkboards with stuff, use whatever you can, or you get your buddy to help you if
That's
they will.
True.
That sucked. Writing on the chalkboard's painful too.
Look, right there. I sent it to her dad.
There it is. He's showing me a full thing. I will bring my music to band tomorrow. You showed that to her dad?
Yeah.
You're a real strict teacher, aren't you, Bo? You're the kind of sucker that gets whacked in this game.
I'm the kind of sucker that would do the whacking in this game.
Oh, I see. So you do assign the line. So now we're touching on the very most basic elements of playing this. It's just you can go to class. You try not to be where you're not supposed to be. And if you come across a teacher, they will assign you lines. If you get 10,000 lines, you get expelled. Game over.
That's an awful lot of lines.
I've gotten that many times.
Me too.
Right? So that seems lame if that's the game. Well, there's way more to it than that. And it gets incredibly insane. In the first game, as I recall, you were trying to get shields, touch shields.
Right.
And to trigger events that you can do.
Okay, let me tell you what actually happens in this game. So when you collect the shields and then you knock down a teacher, the teacher will give you 1 letter of the passcode that you need to open the safe to get your report.
Right. That's crazy. That was the way it was. Now in this game, there's a ton of different stuff you can do. The girls' school adds some play elements that you didn't have in the first one. Like the first thing I did was there's a mouse. There's multiple rodents that run around. You can grab one, and I take her to the girls' school. It's funny because then I read something, and they were talking about doing this. So I guess I'm not clear that the first person to come up with this plan. Took it to the girls' school, and then when you let it loose in there, when their headmistress sees it, she does a very amusing little dance whenever that happens. There are crazy elements that you can use to manipulate stuff in this game, and they were so. Did you have any luck delving into the deeper parts of this game?
Okay, this is a totally different game than the first game.
Right.
It looks very similar, but it's the mechanics are all different.
I mean,
the first game is easy. There's an objective that you can write and you understand what it is. This game is a straight up puzzle based adventure game. Okay, so the first thing that you have to do in this game is you have to get the water pistol. Okay.
And you have to find it.
You got to find it.
And I looked through all the desks and stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Okay. When you get the water pistol, you got to go to the restroom and you got to fill it up. Okay. Then you've got to squirt the water pistol into the trophy cups on the shelf. Okay. You've got to know how to do that somehow.
I was going to ask you how. Yeah, that was my question. Did you just figure that out?
No.
Okay.
No.
That's good.
Gosh, no.
Because I was feeling real dumb as you were rolling through that.
With this game, it's like it's based on the fact that I guess you're just going to be walking around trying everything you can.
Right.
Because it never would have occurred to me in a million years. Like, okay, if you've got a water gun, your first reaction is, okay, who do I need to squirt with this water gun to make something happen?
Yeah.
But that's not what you have to do with it at all. And this all, actions trigger other actions. And all the time while you're doing that, you sort of have to keep track of where your teachers are, where you're expected to be and stuff like that. But this is a totally different game, and it pains me to say it because I like so much about this game. I think that the first game is superior because of that.
One of the things that... Did you look at? You said you did look at the docs. The list of keyboard commands, for example.
You've got to play this with the keyboard. I did. I was the OPQW champion.
You've got. I'm looking at the.
There's
keyboard.
a dozen.
It's like a dozen different things you have to. There's all kinds of stuff you have to set. Like, for example, I knew. Guess what? I had to get help to figure out what the heck I was doing, so I was like, okay, search all these desks. So you have to go into the desk, sit down. Open the desk, search, and these are all different keys. Search this, get back up, move to the next one, and you're trying to do all this stuff while the teacher doesn't come and get you, or when the class is empty. It's tedious. Let's go there. This game, it looks great. I like a lot of the things you can do. They say it's one of the early sandbox games. Absolutely.
It is very sandboxy.
But it's got elements of it that I didn't like, and it's just because it's just like you said, the random way things happen. Something else I had trouble with was negotiating the damn stairs. I had a heck of a time getting up those stairs.
Me too.
And when there's a teacher coming down on you, you're wanting to get off, and they don't just give you lines and let you leave.
No.
They'll just keep stacking them on you, and you can get 1,000 lines.
This game would have been improved if they would have put a cooldown timer on the lines.
Yes.
Just to give you a chance to get away from the teacher.
Yeah. Now, some of the stuff from the original game is still here. Stuff just like renaming people. You can still write on the chalkboard. They left all the fun stuff in, and it's still fun. I had a good time just rolling around because you're going through a school day, and so it's kind of funny to just kind of see what happens, hear what the teachers talk about and stuff. I read that there is some really crazy stuff you can do. You can get the teachers drunk and do all this other crazy stuff. I don't think in a million years I could ever have seen this stuff. And so what this game to me is, it reminds me of these games, and we've talked this before, where it's a game where you'd buy one game and you'd have it for like the month or 6 months or a year, and that's your game.
Right.
And you would go through and you would try every conceivable thing to figure out what was going on and try to use every little wacky tactic you could think of, because someone like ourselves who comes into this and tries and gets into it for a week, like I was completely out of ideas after I went. I mean, you can only go to class and mess around for so long before I just didn't know what the heck was going on. I went to the girls' school and looked around. I had no idea. And so I went and watched a guy do a walkthrough. I didn't want to watch the whole thing, but I just watched the beginning just to get an idea so I could get and he got the squirt gun, just like I said. But I mean,
well, as soon as I saw what you had to do with the squirt gun, I knew there was no point in me going on, because the answers were so obtuse that I knew. I was like, listen, I'm just going to watch this guy play this thing, and then I'm going to roll around and do some of it myself, because it's just, you really have to think outside the box in this one.
Yeah, I mean, way outside the box. I mean, that's not even strong enough. Too hard. I mean, I hate to say it. I like the way it looks. The fact that you've got all these independent characters walking around, they all do different stuff. They sort of, sometimes they'll be in mass, whereas in the assembly, they all come down. They all sort of mill around.
Did you notice when you go to the assembly, you don't see, you like go out to a courtyard, everybody just sits on the ground. Maybe that's how they roll it.
Well, they've got an assembly hall with a stage. You sit there and listen to the guy. And if you, also, you'll get lines for sitting the wrong way.
Right.
Like sometimes you go to class, if you sit down in the wrong spot, your guy just plops down the floor, lines.
Sitting on the floor, yeah.
Also, a lot of times there's not enough desks, and so if you get there late, there's nowhere to sit.
Right.
Lines for everything. If you get caught in a girls' school, that's lines. And that chick will follow you and right out the door giving you lines.
That's right.
It was difficult. Difficult game. Now, there are a lot of people that don't like this one as much as the original. And don't get me wrong, this is still a popular game. But the other one, the other one was not the simplest game ever played. And we didn't come anywhere near getting anywhere a third of the way through it.
No.
But I did feel like I was making some progress. On this one, I just felt like I was completely boned.
Right.
And it was frustrating to try to get up and down the stairs and also just having the lines piled on you. It just felt like I was getting crushed. You can get 10,000 lines and I could get it like 5 minutes easy. And then you're done. You know, we mentioned this on ARG, but it's worth repeating here that the team that put this together, they put out a lot of good games, and eventually they saw the writing on the wall that the Nintendo and consoles are sort of taking over.
And you just couldn't have a two-person development team.
Yeah, I think they had like a guy, like it was two. I think it was a married couple plus one other guy.
Okay, a three-person.
Yeah, but eventually they were just like, we're done, and they were done. They just closed up shop, and that was the end of them. So they went out on a high note, you know, but they saw what was happening, and really these games. Now I don't know if you knew this, but they've released like updated versions, like they're like fan releases.
Yeah, Back to School '99.
That's exactly what I'm talking about, and that actually looks pretty good, and it looks a little bit easier to navigate, but it mostly looks like the same game, but. These type of games, if you're going to keep this sort of puzzle system, it almost feels like a waste of the game in a lot of ways, because there's a lot of interesting stuff that you could do with this that you just can't. I could never figure out. So this is one I'm going to have to say.
This is like, okay, what is the modern version of this game?
Of this game, Bully?
Yeah. Okay. In Bully, they don't make it a puzzle. They say, okay, listen. Bully, whatever his name is, you need to go to this classroom and pull this girl's hair. You know, do that in this game. Be like, you need to go here and do this thing. You're still having fun, and it takes the guesswork out of it.
Have you played Bully?
I have not.
I have played it.
I know it's very highly regarded.
I've got it on the Xbox, and it is it's an interesting game. I never heard of this before I played Bully. You know, but as soon as I saw this the first time, I was like, I know where they got that. But you're right. But I mean, of course, by that time they'd had a couple of decades to get it, to understand a little bit better how to. You know, we both know these older games they punished ignorance basically, and this one did. Now, I will say we are in the minority, you know, in terms of the scoring of this game. Boat World of Spectrum gave this an 8.34 out of 10. Computers Video Games gave it a 9 out of 10. Crash gave it a 93. Sinclair gave it a 5 out of 5. Your Sinclair gave it a 9 out of 10. Computer Gamer 4 out of 5. It was a Sinclair User Classic Award winner and a Crash Smash winner. And Your Sinclair Top 100 ranked it the 19th greatest Sinclair game of all time. So it had a lot of love at the time. I can understand that. Because it's so expansive, and it was so groundbreaking for what it was doing. But as we look through this with modern eyes, I don't think it aged that well in terms of the gameplay.
No.
Do we have any listener reviews?
We do. Frodo NL, his first ever.
Oh yeah.
Clive's Club member Frodo NL with his first ever Discord review. Somehow I could never get into this game, nor its sequel, School Days, in the 80s. Playing it now, it still does not work for me. After about 5 minutes of play, I'm just too bored to continue. And maybe this game is just a tad too English for this Dutchman. 6 out of 10. mostly for the execution of the idea. Chris Fold says, I love this game. Oh, and this game comes to us from Clive's Club member Chris Folds. I love this game, a worthy sequel with the addition of a second Skool, bikes, etc. What is not to love? Allows you to be that naughty kid with the hot chick girlfriend you always wished you were at school. Speak for yourself, buddy. Took a few games to get back into the swing of things, but managed to finish it on the 6th attempt and then played it again. The two modern remakes, Class of 99 and School Days Reschooled, which contains both, are both excellent also. I'm going to have to try those out. 9 out of 10 from Chris Folds.
Of course, he did select the game, so you would assume he would
That's true. That's true. D-Man says, as with its predecessor, School Days, Back to School was a sandbox game before sandbox games were a thing. Try to solve the puzzles, keep out of trouble, or cause as much mayhem as possible. The choice is yours. Still as playable as ever. 8.5 out of 10. And Graham W. Vebke says, I haven't played the first game in the series, but I can see they both had obvious influence on the Rockstar game Bully, a game I adore. Maybe it's because I didn't play the first game, I feel I am missing something here. Maybe it's rose-colored glasses. But it's not overly thrilling to play. It controls well and the art is decent too, but leaves me feeling disappointed, just like sailing a yacht with no wind. And finally, Pixels at Dawn, Mod Mania Champion over in the chat. He says, this is a fun game enough if you don't try and complete it. The game world feels a lot like a real UK school crossed with the schools of old novels like Richmal Crompton's Just William. Not familiar with that, but I've heard.
What a name,
yeah.
Crompton.
Yeah. It's a pro wrestling name.
Richmal Crompton.
Yeah. The schools are colorful and the sprites are full of character. You can happily race around punching your friends, purposefully getting the SWAT.
Yeah, SWAT's he's a little jerk wiener boy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in trouble, writing swear words on the blackboards and releasing mice in the girls' school. That's your bag.
Yeah.
But there's also a series of nefarious activities you can do to complete the game. A lot of fun, especially as it lets you rename all the characters for your friends and teachers. A unique classic, 8.5 out of 10.
Which I always rename everyone, so that way I can keep track of what's going on.
Yeah, it's a good thing to do.
Yeah.
A good thing to do.
And also, I did write stuff on the chalkboard.
What did you write?
Oh, I can't say here.
It
was about
show.
you.
Wow, I don't blame you.
It wasn't flattering.
Was it about my Star Trek awesome shuttlecraft?
If I'd known about that, it would have been less flattering. What a geek.
We got some feedback, Aaron.
Oh, man.
This comes to us from Richard Smart. Commented on YouTube. He says, I've been listening to your podcast for a while now. Video adds a new dimension. That's true. Love your enthusiasm and innocence you bring to the spectrum and to what life was like in the UK in the 80s. And then he writes a little bit about Match Day 2. He said, I detested Match Day 1 so much. I couldn't understand why people raved about it, as the control and graphics were appalling. So when Match Day 2 got rave reviews, it wasn't on my radar because I simply didn't trust the reviews. However, I will give it a try after watching your video.
I will say Match Day 1 didn't look too good to me either.
Yeah. It's not great.
I love the fact that we're innocent, both.
We are. I mean, how
finally,
could we not be?
someone gets it.
Yeah. Remember, in a couple weeks, we do have our best of 2019 Our Sinclair mega special coming up. And you can vote for your favorite games we've talked about this year at vote.oursinclair.com. So make sure you do that. Do it now before you forget.
Yeah, get over there and vote. Make your voice heard.
Yeah, vote.oursinclair.com.
That'll be fun. This will be the first time around for doing that.
Yeah.
That'll be neat.
Absolutely.
And we've actually covered, it's funny, when I filled out my voters thing,
Mm-hmm.
there was the Sinclair to me was easy. It was my easier one because there were some real standouts, and I was like, man, I know which one on this one is, and bam, it was a lot. The Amigos was a lot more difficult.
Yeah, don't vote once a week, Picard. Picard's one vote per person, please. Do not skew the results. All right, I want to thank all the fine folks, speaking of the chat, that are in the chat right now. We record Our Sinclair live every Friday night on twitch.tv/Amigos Retro Gaming. You can join the wild and wonderful chat. Picard 2010, Ricky DeRocher, Barkbit, Pixels at Dawn Gaming, Retro Gaming Denmark, D-Man 76, Kanita Wowie 64.
Well, I love that.
Yeah, James Ed Smith, Edvin Helen. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And I want to thank our Twitch subscribers, especially Kanita Wowie is our newest Twitch subscriber. Thank you for subscribing to our channel. And the other people, Tapes from the Crypt, Math Dufort, G, Vebkey, Muggy7, 10-Minute Amiga Retrocast, The Slow Norris, Chris Folds, Anguish, Hauteur, Brutal Barracuda, Macintosh Librarian, Hasifa, 6MMBRX, I am Paul H, Mohawk Mall, Bumface Pooh Hands, Silver Streak 72, Roushi MSX, Brother Bill, Pakutake, Midgard 73, and Still Adolescing.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, so thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
If you are an Amazon Prime customer and you would like to support the show, you can do so for free. You get a free Twitch sub every month. Now, Aaron.
That was a deep sigh right there.
Well, I was preparing myself mentally.
Okay, go ahead. This scares me.
Announce the illustrious names of our Patreon supporters.
All right.
So we talked about the magnets earlier. If you went in, you can join the club, the Clives Club.
The Clives Club.
Andrew Waite, David Spencer, Cap'n Crispy, Laurent Giroux, Gary Heather, Eric Nelson, Harbonaut, Graham Vebke, Frodo NL, Tapes from the Crypt, Pixels at Dawn, Chris Folds, Paul Bossman Harrington, and Christopher Hassall.
Every one of those men and women, handsome geniuses.
Yes.
Every single one.
Yes, absolutely. All right. So, Aaron, next week we are not going to review a game as normal. It's our Christmas special.
It's an umbrella of fun.
Yeah. We are going to record the show live. We're going to probably release a short audio thing for the audio podcast. But then it's going to be primarily a video affair. We're going to watch some Spectrum demos.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to watch them.
Wow. I've never seen any of these.
Me neither. But I know they exist. I looked some up. And we're going to have the chat going. We're going to have call-ins from our Discord community, talking Specky. It's going to be a real fun time. We hope you can join us. And the week after that is our New Year's special where we announce the winners of our Listener Choice Awards.
That'll be fun. Yeah. I can't wait. It's the first time for us on Spectrum. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Until then, rewind tape.
And press play.